guys, it's Stacy with Chapter 6. Me and Jessica on Fridays usually post our together videos, but since Jessica's moved out, it's been harder and harder for us to get together to film together videos. So we decided that anytime we couldn't do our together videos, instead of leaving you guys hanging on Friday like we have been, we'll just do a separate random video. Basically, the point of these videos is that we don't want to do anything book related in these videos. It's because anything book related we want to do together. But if you want to put a book twist on it, you can say that this is a way for you to get an insight to our literary lens to see other things that we're interested in. We're going to be doing every other, so next time that there is a Friday that we don't have a video together, Jessica will be posting one. I think she's planning on doing craft things. Basically for mine, I'm going to be doing random things. One good thing about being in college is you learn a bunch of random information that really sticks with you, just interesting facts, and basically I'm just going to be talking about them with you because I just love random facts and random information. So if you are one of our regular subscribers and obviously you subscribe to us because of book related things, don't worry, this is not going to be a reoccurring thing to where we're switching over from book things to non-book things, because that's not going to happen. We're always going to be focused on book stuff. Also, at the beginning of this video, I wanted to say, just in case halfway through you stop watching it, I wanted to say that I am like 17 book reviews behind. So I want to say for the month of April, on Saturday, I will be posting an additional book review just for me to try to get caught up a little bit. To start off, I'm going to go with the one that was most interesting to me that I've learned in college so far, and I learned this in Sociology 101. It's just basically a way to study society and their patterns and things of that nature. A lot of sociology, I think, is just complete bullcrap. Just a lot of people overanalyzing things that don't need to be overanalyzed, but other things in it I do find rather interesting, like this one. This experiment called the Milgram experiment. The results of this experiment scare the crap out of me, and that's why I want to discuss it with you. It's one of the reasons why I love dystopian novels so much, because it kind of plays into this. What the Milgram experiment is, there was this guy named Stanley Milgram, and when he was in school, I want to say it was Harvard, we're studying the Hitler trials. Basically, after Hitler fell from power, they were interviewing all of his close men, like his top lieutenants and all that, and they were asking them a series of questions of why they were partaking in the Holocaust. They said, well, did you believe in it? Did you like doing it? They would always say, no, 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 and they're like, well, then why did you do it? And they're like, because I was told to do it. At the time, they took that as, that's just an escape answer. You're not going to get away with it by putting the blame on somebody else. But this guy named Stanley Milgram, he was very interested in these answers, and he wanted to get more insight to this phenomenon, like how far would people go with an authority figure telling them to do something. This experiment, there's basically three people set up in it. There was the authority figure, which was Stanley, the tester, and then the testee. People in this experiment were told that this test was set up to show how much pain can influence a person's learning ability. The experiment was set up as the tester would be sitting in front of a panel with these voltage shocks, and the voltage shocks would go up 15 volts with every button, and it would end at 450 volts. And every time the person got the question wrong that they asked them, they would have then give them a shock every time. The testee and the tester were not in the same room. They could hear each other, but they could not see each other. The testee was a paid actor. He was in on the experiment. At the beginning of the experiment, he lets the tester and the authority figure know that he has a pacemaker and that he's afraid that these voltage will mess up the rhythm of his heart, so he lets that be known at the very beginning. The testee would receive the shock every time he got the answer wrong. Oh, and the testee also had pre-recorded responses, so every person who was in the tester position would get the same responses, so it wouldn't interfere with the results of the experiment. About a third of the way through the experiment, the testee, or the learner, as he's mostly called, would then start to say that he was in awful pain, that he didn't want to do this anymore. Every time he got shocked, he would be screaming in agony pain. The authority figure would have one of four phrases that he would say to the tester to get them to continue on with the experiment. And those were, please continue, the experiment requires that you continue, it's absolutely essential that you continue, and you have no other choice, you must go on. If the tester would still complain that he didn't want to hurt this person anymore, then the experiment would stop, and then the interview portion of the experiment would commence. If the tester continued to go on, then about, I would say, 2/3 of the way through the experiment and the shocking process, the learner would then stop screaming. He would have no responses at all. Then this would lead the tester to believe that he had killed the other person, that their pacemaker had finally kapooted. Basically, Milgram wanted to see out of 100 people how many people he could get to reach the 450 voltage button. Again, if you were the tester at this point and you did reach the 450 button, at this point you would believe that you had killed somebody. Stanley believed that maybe out of 100 people he could get one person to go all the way to 450, but think and guess for a second how many people out of 100 actually made it to the 450 button. 60 people out of 100 actually continued on with this experiment to the point where they thought they killed another individual. 60%. That's a scary number. In the interview portion of the experiment, when they were asked, why did you continue on? Why did you continue to push these electrical buttons even though you thought that you were killing another human being? And then he would say, oh, well, that guy made me. And he's like, well, actually, no, he didn't make you. He didn't put a gun to your head. He didn't take your finger and make you push the button. Then he would ask yet again, why did you continue on with the experiment when you thought you were killing another human being? And he would say, because he told me to. Because this college student in a white lab coat, as this person thought that was an authority figure, thought that he was a scientist, not even a dictator, a scientist, told him to kill another person. So 60% of the people continued on with the experiment even though they thought they were killing another person. Those are scary numbers to me. Those are very scary numbers because it makes you think if any dictator came into power like Hitler did, a lot of people would fall in line, and it's a scary number. It's actually frightening. Milgram then went on to do variations of the experiment. Like he found out that the closer that the teacher was to the learner, the numbers would drop. I think the lowest it went down to was 40%, and that's when the person actually had to physically place the learner's hand on the shock button to receive the shock. And there'd be like, oh, the actor would be like fighting him and everything, and the guy would be like, no, you must do it. And 4 statements. 4 statements. It wasn't even like, I will kill you or maim your family if you don't continue on with this experiment. Just, you have to do it. Got these people to physically hurt other human beings, even to the point where they thought they were killing them. And that's scary to me. If you're thinking that this is crazy, that people would actually listen to an authority figure in this sense of the manner, let me dive more into the authority figure and how we are trained at a young age. When society was switching over from agriculture to the machining age, all these people who own these companies were trying to get these farmers to come off the farmlands, come into their company, which is indoors, and stand in one spot all day and listen to their foreman and do what they were told. The machining age actually almost crashed because all these farmers was like, I don't have to do what you tell me to do. I don't like being indoors. I don't like being told that I can't go outside and get something to eat, or I can't go get something to drink, that I have to stand here all day. People who ran all these companies were like, how can we train these people to do what we want, which is stand in one spot all day, be inside all day, and listen to an authority figure and do what they are told. What they came up with is that we are going to teach them at a young age, how can we get people to give us their children so we can make them obey authority, and they came up with public schooling. This is how public schooling came about. It's basically a way to train people to do what they were told. Obviously, the education program and the education system has grown a lot more since then, but think about it. What does a kid do all day? They sit in a classroom that's indoors. They sit in one spot all day, and they're taught to listen to their authority figure, which is the teacher. So if you are a parent and you do have a child who's a little bit of a rebellion and doesn't really always listen in school, they're finding out that that's actually kind of a good thing. It means that they will stand up for themselves and they will question things. Instead of just doing what they're told all the time, they'll question if it's the right thing to do, if it's something that they want to do. So it's actually a good thing if you kind of have a little bit of a troublemaker child. That's what I learned in sociology, and I thought that experiment was very interesting. There's actual footage of this experiment, and I'll try to find it, and I'll try to link it down below. Some of these people who are laughing while they're doing it, like they think it's funny that somebody else is screaming in agony, and I do gotta admit that sometimes the guy screams is kind of funny. But it's funny because we know it's a joke. We know he's not really screaming in pain. But the person who's pushing the button doesn't know that, and they're laughing their heads off. And if you're somebody who's like, I would never do that, I would never fall in line, there's other experiments to where they have taken normal people and they have put them into a position of authority, And yeah, those experiments are actually really interesting too, because if you've ever seen the movie with Adrian Brody where they're in a prison scene and he's given the position of a prisoner and there's prisoner guards where they're just all regular people put into this experiment and there's a riot, that's the experiment that's actually happened. That's true, and I think that's also interesting to see that the experiment was supposed to last for a whole week or 2 weeks, and it didn't even last 6 days before there was a riot, and people were just so confused. Heavy lays the crown, you know, putting this big responsibility and this big authority on your shoulders. You never know how you would act. I think it's really good to look at these behavioral experiments simply because if you're in your life, if you ever come to a crossroad and one path is the path that you want to take, you think it's best for you, but then you have family members or friends who are telling you, no, I want you to go this way. It's kind of like a way to think, maybe I should do what I think is right versus what other people think is right. Or one of our regular subscribers and you did not like this video, I'm sorry. Again, don't worry. This is not going to happen all the time. Hopefully you guys did like it so we can give you some interesting facts or just, you know, craft ideas I know Jesse's going to do. Hope you guys all have safe and happy holidays, and I hope you enjoyed the video because I do love random information like this, and you'll probably be seeing a lot of random information from me in these little place filler videos. If this type of thing is not something that you liked, or if you would rather me focus on something else that I'm interested in instead of just random facts and information, please let me know in the comments. Please let me know if this was something that was very interesting to you, because I do have other random facts and other random fact stories. Some of them are not always pleasant, but some of them are fun. I know a lot about genetics that I could do on things like if your mom and dad are bald, I can explain to you if you're going to be bald, like certain situations like that. Also remember, on Saturday, I hope you guys tune in for my extra book review, so you guys will be getting 2 book reviews from me a week for the month of April only. Yeah, and this is Stacy with Chapter Chicks, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. Bye.